everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Love and Light Show, where your special guest is Dr. Meredith Watson, and I'm super excited to get into how we can be of service and also win. Yay! So I'm super excited for today's episode. Be sure to stick to the end, where we're going to do a beautiful guided session supporting us and clearing our pains in our life. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can help yourself and win by supporting other people. So that's an awesome win-win. We're going to talk about how you can understand your pain and what a psychoneuroimmunologist is. Yay! Did I say that right?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. We were practicing right before the show. So I was like calming myself to be like, I can say this right. I'll just go slow.
You did it perfectly.
Yay. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited for today's episode. And do you want to give everyone a little bit about yourself, your background, and what your beautiful title is? So you are the Unapologetic Therapist, creator of Phoenix Therapy Method, and founder of MACSJC Foundation, which I love.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. So honored. Well, it's really kind of the background is I got into psychoneuroimmunology because I had 2 heart attacks in 16 months.
Right.
There was zero medical background for it. I was healthy, active, eating right, very young. So it was completely unreal to have had to in such a short period of time, given my, personal history. I do have some chronic pain, but they couldn't understand at all how this could possibly be.
Right.
So I started listening to Dana Pritchard. She did a TED Talk, and she's a psychoneuroimmunologist, but she uses her modality is hypnotherapy.
Awesome.
So I went back to school, became certified, and it was allowing me to really get to the root cause of my pain. I'd been a sickly child. So, and I'd had a lot of traumatic events starting to come up over, my spiritual awakening was just about starting at that time. So I wanted to help myself to heal holistically. I didn't want a lot of pills or surgery or anything like that. And I also wanted to be able to give back. At the core of who I am is to be able to give and serve. Yeah. So I wanted to be able to use this to be able to do that. And part of being the unapologetic therapist is a lot of people, the root cause of their pain comes from looking outside themselves for love, acceptance, validation, belonging. And when you find those things within yourself, you don't have to look outside. So you're not experiencing that same pain. And then the Phoenix Therapy Method is basically using your story, your life story, the things that have occurred to you for your good, allowing you to rise above the ashes that tried to consume you. And really get to the root of it and heal it so that you can move forward and not stay stuck in it and be consumed by it. Although I've learned, sadly, that some people, I wouldn't say they want to stay stuck, but they have no idea what their life would be like without the struggle.
Right. Yeah.
So they'll stay in there just because it's easy and they understand and they already know what the pain is and they're used to that. So oftentimes when you're accustomed to something, you don't want to move because you know that story, that paradigm, that transcription, that story, that narrative. But if you want to rise above it, then you have to look at it, analyze it, and kind of like a sandwich, take it apart.
Yes.
And, take it bit by bit.
And Betty says, yes. Ooh, oh, Monique came in too. Betty said, yes. And earlier said, hey. And Betty's a beautiful soul sister who loves empowering women as well. I love that. And then Monique says they're addicted to the struggle. It's scary outside of it. Yes, preach. Awesome. Love it. Then Betty says, ooh, girl. Love it. And this is the Love and Light Show, where every Wednesday and Friday at 1 Atlantic, 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, we bring you different light workers and awesome healers and wonderful heart-centered people in the world who are doing their part in shining their light brighter so that they can help and support you with different tools and techniques and modalities and wisdom and exercises and lessons so that you guys can get the different pieces and parts of your healing journey of your puzzle so that you can be the best version of yourself first and foremost for you, and then also share it with other people in your life and in your community and in your world so we can all be that change that we want to see in the world together. And I'm Laura McPhee, a joyful goddess, speaker, healer, and coach, and I love empowering women through self-love and self-care and sexual empowerment so that they can be living their dream lives now and releasing and letting go of any and all limiting beliefs that say that you're not good enough or pretty enough or smart enough or whatever blank enough that's in your subconscious that you've learned through osmosis from society or your friends or your family or parents, to clear that completely on all levels and move forward. And one of the ways that I'm super excited to do all of this wonderful work this month is my Heart and Soul Sexual Healing co-collaboration with the beautiful Christine Cliff. We did one over the weekend and Saturday in Fredericton. We did it locally to start first, and Betty actually came in person and she gave a testimonial, which I put on my personal feed yesterday. So if you guys want to go check that out, you guys can get your tickets for the online version. So that's going to come up not this Friday, but next Friday. So we wanted to make sure that everyone who's my lovely ladies online as well, it's a soul sisterhood experience so that you guys can dive a little bit deep into your healing and your journey, whether you have been sexually violated in some way or assaulted or molested or raped or just felt unsafe or pressured to have sex or just in any way felt not good in your body, that you're ready to clear and release and let go of that. And this eclipse season, oh my gosh, it's so powerful to clear and release and let go of stuff so that you can receive more love and support and abundance and awesome things into your life. So I'm super excited for that. I'll definitely be putting that in the comments afterwards as well, so you guys can get that. So back to Meredith and awesome her journey. How do you help people win with your foundation?
Well, we donate to charities like Sister Care and Volunteers in Medicine, which help people that don't have insurance to get the medical care that they deserve.
Awesome.
We also donate to food banks, and we help those in need. My personal mission is to set aside funding for housing for women who are leaving domestic situations that are not healthy for them and their children, so that they can start a new life, rebuild, learn skills, or just have that community and support so that they can leave that environment and really progress in life. Because a lot of people don't leave those because they don't know where to go. They don't have a skill, or they don't know how to get out safely, or how to get themselves and their children out safely. So that's a real close to home passion for me. And I've noticed that once people realize where their pain is stemming from, they can really make the change if they're ready. It takes the decision to really want to make a change, to get into what it is that is causing the pain, because our bodies, that's the way they alert us that there's something wrong. It's kind of that alarm. Because most people, I have a headache, or my stomach hurts, my ear hurts, my throat hurts. And they think that it's, something surface, when it's really something much deeper when you go into it. And once you start the healing and you start that process, I have found that you really have the power and the strength to continue. It is not an easy process, which is why I'm such an advocate of the support.
Yes.
And once you have that and you know that you're not alone in the journey, it is a lot easier to dismantle that. And journaling and yoga, meditation, polarity therapy, the theta healing that you do, those are the things that really get down to the DNA, the activation, getting to the core. Because a lot of people, mine started with a mother's wound. It was embarrassing to me at first, but now that I look back at the relationships I've had with the mother figures in my life, it makes complete sense. I suffered throat aches and earaches my entire life. And a lot of that has to do with, I was afraid. I would talk. Now I talk fast because I'm passionate. It used to be very, very passionate. And it used to be at one time that I would not speak slowly because I was afraid that if I didn't say it too fast, people would leave. Like, what I had to say wasn't important.
Right.
And, I had the times where it was like, being picked on and bullied, Fatso, Four Eyes, Oreo, and you just want to shrink and you just want to fit so that you can belong. And I dismantled, even the organizations that I chose to be a part of, leaving my home and merging myself into my daughter's father's life and completely losing myself just so I could belong, so I could be a part of, not knowing that that really needs to come from inside. So once I started to do that, and once my clients start to really dig deep and dismantle things, they are ready to take on the world and win and do more and be more and reach back and help other people. So it's a kind of a ripple evolutionary effect.
Yes, I love that. And Betty says, speaking to my soul, Meredith. Love
Yay!
it. And then she also said, I highly recommend the Heart and Soul Sexual Healing. Thank you so much, Betty. I appreciate you. So how do you help your people win? I know that that was a very interesting like spin on things because I am so supportive of that. And I was at a couple of restaurants this weekend where in the bathroom, in the ladies' room, there are signs on the back, are you being abused? And it's like, I love that it's coming to the surface where people feel comfortable in saying it and showing where you can get support and people are finding it. I really desire to co-create a world where that's never necessary, where my daughter or her daughter are like, men hit women? What? Like, I can't believe like you're in the Stone Ages. Like, that's a crazy, mind-blowing thought. So I'm loving the work that you're doing with women.
A lot of it has to do with taking their power back. I see a lot of women, and we all have different cultural backgrounds and we all have different ways that we were brought up to be, but a lot of people lose their voice.
Yeah.
Once they take on the relationships of marriage and relationships of being a mother, you forget that you were also an individual.
Yes.
And one of the first things I ask my clients is, who are you? Not are you a mother, are you a wife, are you a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, the cashier at Walmart. Who are you? What are your passions? And I found that a lot of people never think about what their passions are and where they start and other people begin.
Right.
Like that line is so blurred. And a lot of people don't have what they want because they don't think they're worthy of having it. And they shrink. And sometimes that shrinking, it spreads out. Instead of spreading love, people are spreading, well, why are you doing that? You should just stay small and you should just stay, just follow the herd. And what people don't realize is, when you follow the herd, you have the chance to be trampled. Like, you could just get mowed down by everybody trying to vomit their beliefs onto you and not even giving credence and value to who you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ways people start to win is when they start to realize you're worthy. You're worthy of love, you're worthy of attention, you're worthy of space. And I homeschool my daughter, and of course I work from home. So really honing out that individual space where I'm not a mom, I'm not a wife, I'm not a doctor, I'm just Meredith, has been instrumental in being the kind of mom that I want to be. A lot of people say, well, you signed up to be self-sacrificial. I'm like, no, I didn't. I did not sign up to be this lamb on the altar. I get to be my own self. So choosing yourself sometimes is the first step towards winning, because then you can see what you love and start to carve that out, even if it's just 5 minutes in the bathroom, turning the shower on and pretending you're at Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do to get that time just to reconnect, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And as a mother, I can speak from experience, you have to find those 15 minutes a day. You have to find that 10 minutes a day where you're not inundated with, poop and snot and homework,
Yeah.
and, when you even disengage from your mate for a little while, just so you can reconnect. And then you can move from there. You can see that migraine is really because you're not allowing your brain just to relax. That earache is because you're really just trying to deafen your ears so that you can think for yourself. For me, the heart attack was my heart chakra was completely blocked. I was not open to love. I had like this cement brick around my heart because I'd been so hurt that I refused to let anybody else in, and I refused to trust, and I refused to open myself to love. But as you of all people know, when you open your heart chakra and you open yourself up, you're not just opening yourself to love, you're opening yourself to receiving abundance and light, and a lot of financial, you know, having your finances not be where you want it to be is because you're not open to receiving. And as women, a lot of the times we are so used to giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and we can't ever receive. And going in line with your sexual healing, that's another form of receiving. A lot of women don't feel like they deserve to enjoy that part of their life. They're just supposed to lay there and look pretty, or suffer through it. And a lot of people disassociate. You closets get organized when you're supposed to be intimate with your mate, just so you can get through it because you haven't healed that part of you and
Right.
you can't receive. And receiving is more than, you know, when someone compliments you, don't downgrade. Oh, this outfit, I've had it for years. You know,
Yeah.
you just bought that at the Belk sale. You know, enjoy that and start choosing you, and you can start winning in every aspect of your life. But it first starts with choosing yourself and not being ashamed of saying, I need 5 minutes. I
Yeah.
need, to put the kids to bed 10 minutes early so I can collect myself. I need to put daddy on daddy duty or whatever your partner duty, and I need to go outside even if you can't escape for a while. And one of the things that's really creative, I'm an introvert by nature, so it's an effort for me, but to maybe barter and trade. You have another single mom or
Yeah.
another friend, and it's
Universal.
yes, and you have to, I'll watch your kids, or let's have a potluck, or I'll cook dinner for your
Mm.
family, or I'll take the kids for you just to go take a walk. Everybody can't afford to do everything, but a walk is free and it's healthy.
Yes.
Or pick a park and say, you watch the kids for 10 minutes. I'm just going to go and take in some vitamin D and then we'll switch off.
Yes.
And even do that with your mate. You know, take a half day, and date your mate. I'm a single mom, but I know that there are people out there who have mates. I'm very introverted and I'm not the marrying kind. But for those that have that desire, I choose to put my daughter to bed a little bit early so I can have some time. And it's so funny because last night she went to bed early and I was so tired, but I'm like, but this is my only quiet time. Should I go to sleep or should I enjoy it? So just choosing yourself, and then you can start deciding what you want to do with your life, whether it's want to take up a hobby or even switch jobs or maybe, change relationship status just so you can finally, because life is supposed to be, I feel like life should be orgasmically enjoyable.
Yes. Mhm.
Everything should be awesome. I'm that way with food. Food is life. I love food. So just
So good.
enjoy and then have that sensuality where you're
Mhm.
engaging yourself, your touch, your feel, your sight, and everything you do. When you eat, when you wake up in the morning, do like that assessment of yourself in the morning. It
Yes.
starts out small, but
Mhm.
once you start choosing yourself and winning on small levels, you're
Mhm.
a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, I 1,000,000% agree. And so is Betty. She's like, Meredith, we need to connect. I'm loving you right now.
Thank you so much.
She said, hashtag take back your power, hashtag self care. And earlier she said, yes, that's my focus as well. I've experienced child sexual trauma and domestic abuse. We lose ourselves and become codependent. Yeah. And I
Very
feel like
much so.
so many relationships are codependent and people don't really realize it. And I didn't realize that because there wasn't an alcoholic in my house, it was
Mhm.
my grampy. So my mom learned from my Grammy codependent ways of being, which I emulated from her. And I can totally resonate where I would make myself so small and I would literally like earliest as I can remember, like middle school and high school, I would find a crush and then learn everything about him and try to learn and become everything that I thought that he'd want to maybe get a date and maybe be lovable and all those things. And it's like, no, 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 no. Women deserve to take up space and be our own beings and have our own identities be number one and not be putting other people ahead of us and feeling like we have to sacrifice or burn ourselves out or get in the hospital before we can finally be like, hey, I need a break here. Can someone else tap in
Step
for a
in.
little bit? And can we share this workload? And I used to be like an overgiver. And
Mhm.
I can honestly say that that was healing. Healing that was like the biggest change in my life because serving from an overflowing cup, that's the like pure bliss of like I can have so much massive impact. So it was selfish when I was unhealed over here, depleting myself, being resentful, giving what I could to my work and my family and everything else. And when people like I was there when I thought that this was selfish, it's like no, no, no. Holding on to your wounds, that's the selfish thing. It takes a lot of strength and bravery to be like, I have some issues here. I'm codependent. Like, I need to heal this. I need to get practitioners or help or
Yes.
support or free podcasts or YouTube or like anything to help me change this right now. Because on this side, you can have so much more exponential impact by being yourself.
And really knowing who you are. A lot of people, you ask them their favorite color, they don't know. Well, my
Yeah.
daughter likes blue. My husband, he picks out red for me all the time.
Mm.
And also understanding your color therapy. I'm a big fan of color therapy. I wasn't for a long time, but then I got into it.
Mhm.
And most of my closet is black, hence what I'm wearing today.
Mhm.
And
I
it's
love
to
black. I
it
like
did
black and blues.
black for me was it's still my favorite color, but my mom reminds me that it's an absence of color. But it was so that I could just kind of blend in. But the
Mm,
other thing that was so instrumental for me is the codependency.
mhm,
And I have a program, it's intimacy incubator.
mhm.
Into me I see.
Yes.
People are so quick to just merge with someone else that they don't always know where they stop and someone else begins. And I was that way with my own mother. My
Mhm.
daughter is 7.5, blessing from above. And I literally did not feel like the birth of my own child was blessed until my mom came.
Wow.
And
Mhm,
everything I did was so that she would be pleased and she
mhm,
would give me the stamp of approval
mhm.
every move I made. And my friends got to the point where they're like, "What did you tell your mom?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, then you're not serious because unless you get her to bless it, you're not going to do it." And when my
Interesting.
daughter was born, people would come by and they're like, "Well, of course I was tired, of course."
Mhm.
And they were like, "Your mom hasn't come yet, so you're not excited. When she comes and blesses it, then you'll be." I'm like, "Is it that obvious?" And it's because I
Interesting.
was so merged in her that I
Mhm,
could not see straight. And then when
mhm.
I got married and made the decision to leave the marriage, it was a lot of I got a lot of flack because his
Mhm.
entire family, his mother's side owns one side of the town and his father's owns the other side of the town.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't realize how enmeshed it was. I joined his
Mhm,
religious organization and I just lost myself.
mhm,
And then I had to reconnect with myself. It was almost like I had to date myself
mhm. Yes.
because, and when you've been traumatized, not just sexually, but in any way,
Mhm,
and you realize that in some ways you've become that assault
mhm.
and you are kind of encased in it until you break that mold and you
Mhm.
decide that I'm more than my trauma.
Yes.
I'm more than, the thing that tried to consume me. And when I had my second heart attack, which was like I said, I had two heart attacks within 16 months. My first heart attack was when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
So it was such a mind-blowing experience to realize that my heart chakra, and when I love with everything I've got.
Mhm,
And I'm really broken when the person doesn't return that love, but it's because I've given so much.
mhm,
And people who say that they don't love with a price tag, that's not completely true. We often give love so that we can receive love. A lot of
mhm.
people give love so that they can feel seen and heard. And it's so funny. My someone very important to me has a vision issue. But if you look at the patterns of her life, she's always desired to be seen and
Mhm.
heard
Yeah.
and noticed. And you would be surprised how many of our physical ailments, the root cause is, and the foundation of my practice is
Mhm,
really about really deciding and knowing what unresolved trauma and emotion we're hiding.
yeah.
Even weight gain, even
Mhm,
muscle pain, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue,
mhm.
those types of conditions, they do have a background. And I find that once you accept that and you heal that, you'll often find that those symptoms start to dissipate, if
Yeah.
not completely disappear. I
Mhm.
still, have my checkups, but they're, astounded by the progress that I've made because I decided to
Awesome.
start healing from within at the core.
Mhm.
With, the kind of work that you do with DNA activations and theta healing,
Yeah.
people, until you have experienced the change that can do in your
Mhm.
body and it's holistic, and you
Yeah.
don't have to take pills, which would probably, if I took any more pills, I would probably forget.
Mhm.
But when you can start, journaling, like I spent about an hour and a half journaling through my anxiety. Now I know that
Mhm.
everybody doesn't have the same results, but it's at least try. Don't poo-poo
Yeah.
it just because it doesn't, you don't have to go to the actual, urgent care.
Mhm.
And, I'm like I said, I actually am a holistic health practitioner, but I really believe that you can heal from within because we didn't always have, big pharma. We've often
Mhm.
depended on herbs and
Yeah.
the community healers and, the moon cycles and the things that
Mhm.
we're using and people think is so outlandish. This is what healthcare was founded upon
Yeah.
before people became greedy.
I
Of course, we
totally
do
agree.
deserve compensation,
Mhm.
but I would rather be compensated for helping someone from the core out than just
Yeah.
treating the surface. And that's one of the things
Mhm.
I say is healing from the core. You have a cold. Maybe it's
Mhm.
not just about going and getting some cough medicine. Maybe it's about using your voice more and actively
Mhm.
saying, hear me, see me, not in an
Yes.
egotistical, look at me kind of person, but,
Speaking your
hear your
truth
voice.
and confidently saying what is on your mind instead of
Yeah.
dulling your shine and being like, I don't want to bother them with the fact that they're currently like pulling my hair right now, how they're like situated. I used to do that all the time in the dentist. I'd hate it because I'm like, oh, they're gonna pull my hair. It's like,
Mhm.
tell them. It's like that was a mind blowing thing to me.
Or when they're
Like,
they're
I want
cleaning your
to
teeth and they dig too deep into your gums, and
like
I have migraines.
oh.
So, oral, TMJ, those things,
Mm.
you have to really be careful, and it's like, I don't wanna hurt anybody's feeling, but I'm over here in agony.
Yeah. Hmm.
And the first time I did that was when I went for my annual exam and I saw stars. And I'm like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
probably not normal. I should probably say something." But
Hmm.
then I'm like, "Oh, Meredith, you're just being overdramatic," which is something I was told when I was younger. My feelings were not validated. So a lot
Hmm.
of people, when their feelings aren't validated, they start to question, am I being overdramatic? Am I
Right.
really taking this? But always trust your gut. If you take nothing else from what I say,
Hmm.
trust your gut. That has been with you since day one. And
Yeah.
that flight, that hair on the back of your neck and feeling uneasy, answer that call because you could save yourself from years and years of having to recuperate from not having listened to yourself.
And I'm all about that. I'm like, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, which is why, like, I feel like our stuff is so important because when you are like, yeah, I'm starting to get this like throat chakra thing, like, I got down the line where I had a bacterial throat infection and I was out for like a month. And they were like, you don't have strep, like, you don't have this. They like misdiagnosed me with all these things. Nothing was working. And I'm like, this is horrible. Like, it was the most exhausted, terrible, it hurt every second because you don't realize how much you're like minutely swallowing every second. Like it was the
Oh
worst
my gosh.
pain, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what the fuck is this? And I was really playing small and wasn't speaking my truth to my
Mhm.
partner and the people in my life, so I had to like do all that work. And then the same thing with like migraines. It's like, when you leave corporate and you're doing things that make you feel really good and you're not like doing all this other stuff all the time, I didn't have those big alarm clocks that the migraine was. So you can listen to those like itty bitty feelings of your gut, like you're saying, your intuition, just checking into your body and not let them escalate to like a loud yelling, a 2x4, a brick truck. Like,
I like to call it the small, still voice. It's that
mhm,
little, and it's, the inner child in me. And I don't know
mhm,
if anyone's familiar with Candice Feldal, and she talks a lot about that inner child who really just wants to feel like you're not going to leave it.
yeah,
In some ways, you have to parent yourself. You
mhm,
have to trust, you have to know, you have to trust yourself that you won't leave yourself, and
yeah,
trust yourself you won't become so enmeshed with someone that you lose yourself. I think relationships are wonderful, but it can become codependent when you
mhm,
don't know where you start and the other person ends, or where you end and the other person begins.
mhm,
Because as much as we love the people in our life, you get to a fork in the road where you have to decide, who am I and who am I without them? Who am I with them if that's your choice, but who am I without them? And
yeah,
it's really, really important. And having come from such an enmeshed family and an enmeshed marriage,
mhm,
once it's almost like you have to date yourself, like you need to take that time.
yes,
Or if you go from one relationship to the next and you don't give yourself time to heal and see what you
mhm,
learned from the previous relationship, instead of taking it's like taking all of your shit and putting it in a garbage bag and dragging it from like a bag lady or a bag guy. It's like
mhm,
you and your little garbage can, or your grocery cart, trucking along, and you have like, all
All
this
the
stuff, all
baggage.
this paper and all this stuff, and you haven't dismantled that, that piece of paper from 1946 is really what's holding you back. It seems
Yeah.
like a sheet of paper, but it weighs, 500 pounds, and it's like trying to roll it up a hill, and it comes back in. I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen to them, but I've seen this happen to other people. Like when you go and take the trash and you pull the door back and all the trash comes flying in your face.
Oh
It's
no.
it's kind of like that. You have to deal with it. You have to, not press it down, but dismantle it and really
Yeah.
get to the root of it.
I agree. And we have lots of comments coming in. So Crystal
Yay!
said, my migraine suppression of my emotions.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And she said, powerful conversation, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. And Mercury retrograde's like flipping all of my comments all over the place. So Betty had said, so true. And then Betty said, yes, I used to have migraines all the time. I haven't had one in such a long time because I've been doing so much healing in my life and I'm speaking my truth and rediscovering myself. I love that. And earlier, Jane was saying about finding our voice, trusting ourselves, so important. And holistically, wholly helping our
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Trusting ourselves, that is definitely an area where we all could use some uplifting, because you have to trust your inner knowing and trust that, especially if you grew up or if you got into a system or a paradigm where your feelings weren't validated, your voice wasn't heard, and you have to relearn. Little kids, they are stubborn. They, they know how to get what they want, and they trust that what they want is what's best. They want that toy and they want it now. And I kind of
So
envy the kids. They'll just have a tantrum in the middle of the store because they don't care about expressing themselves. And I'm sure we've all had that moment where you just want to get in the middle of the floor and just throw a tantrum because something has happened. And it's that little kid in us that wants to dismantle. Or the transference. You had a bad day at work, you got stuck in traffic, you kicked the dog, you bit the baby who cried all night, and it's this ripple effect. But it could just start with just taking some assessment of yourself. I'm frustrated in this moment. Why? I used to get, and it's embarrassing, but it's true for me. People who would come online and be very vocal about themselves or show up fully. And I'd be like, why don't they just go somewhere and sit down? Because I wasn't showing up fully and I was not, answering my own calling. So it was really, or I envy, people in specific relationships. And for me, it was especially like these very close knit relationships where people are like really close to their mom or really close to their husband. And it was like, and they're like, oh, I depend on them. They're my best friend. And I would be like, you should just depend on yourself. And really that was my block because I didn't feel supported.
Right.
You should depend on yourself and you should, have that foundation. I don't discredit that at all. But you should, it's also knowing how much to support and be supported, but also give yourself that support. Be able to, we have a community and it's important, but also be able to talk yourself down off a ledge and know how to self-soothe. And
Yes.
that's so important. And giving yourself pleasure, giving yourself the things that you need that you may not be able to find. And once you can give it to yourself, really wholly, completely, it's an addition. It's like ice cream on the already well layered cake. It's like the candle. It's so important. And I always laugh with candles because it's probably the only food that we eat that we don't mind if somebody breathes on.
That's very true. I didn't think of that before, but I love your example. Like for me, I'm in like the sexual world, so like I tell my women who are like feeling desperate online dating and are just like, I'm just attracting weird people and it's not working. I'm like, so go date yourself, go love yourself. Like give the online dating a break if that's been stressing you out, and be like, go pleasure yourself. Like start the morning with an orgasm, the day with an orgasm. Like do whatever you need to do to like get yourself in a good place so you're not like horny and desperate and just wanting something and feeling like missing from you. And whenever I've done that, whenever I've like fully been like, this is me and my awesome life, my life is the best thing ever, I'm focusing fully on me, and then decide, okay, I'm gonna go online. Like I find guys within a week. Like it's like, okay, cool. Like this works really well for me because I'm serving myself first. And
Yes.
then I'm like, this is an amazing cake. If ice cream wants to come on the side, that'll be awesome and amazing, but it's not necessary. Like, and then
Very much
that's
so.
attractive as fuck.
And also when you're in that space of desperation and horniness, you
Mhm.
may accept something that you don't need in your life
Right.
because you're coming from a place of lack. You're coming from a place of desperation. But when you can serve yourself, it's like feeding the kids first
Mm.
or putting your oxygen mask on first. They tell you that in the plane. Put your oxygen
Mhm.
mask. You cannot give to anyone if you're over here suffocating. And by the way, that also has a lot to do with migraine, at least for me, like holding your
Mhm.
breath and not giving your brain oxygen,
Yeah.
and it's also like some people go through life holding their breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mhm. Yeah.
Bad does not have to be married to good. I had this conversation with my daughter. We have a conversation every day. What was your favorite part of the day? What part of
Mhm.
the day would you change? And she's only 7.5. I'm trying to
I
embed those
love
things
that.
early.
Mhm.
But she's like, Mommy, why do good things have to go with bad? And I'm like, no, good does not have to be married with bad. Don't get that into your brain. You
Mhm.
can have great things and a season of wonderful things. And
Mhm.
also, as some people have an issue, I used to have an issue with this, but think about what you're also attracting.
Mhm.
You know, some things just come, but they come to teach you something. Be
Mhm.
open to the lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe you got brokenhearted and that's terrible. But think about what part of that were not giving yourself the room to grow and to be what you needed and accepting less, and then you didn't get even that, and now you're all
Mhm.
depressed. Just think
Yeah.
about, where in there you can take ownership. And that not in
Mhm.
a, sucks to be you kind of way, but where can you take the ownership and rise above?
Yeah.
Take that lesson and go, you know what? I gave a lot. The next time I'm going to give myself, and I'm going to be, really vocal about my needs. Like just
Mhm.
own your shit and show the world what you're
Yeah.
working with.
I love it. And so does Betty. She said there needs to be an applause emoji reaction. Well, we appreciate all of your love and likes and hearts.
Very
Love you
much.
guys so much. And we could talk about this forever and ever and ever, but let's get into the experience. So I'm going to let you take the floor of helping us release things and clear pain that doesn't serve us.
If any of the ones that are listening, or if you catch the replay, I'll, circle back around.
Mhm.
But I was going to look at, and I pulled it up. A lot of people have a lot of spine pain, a lot of pain in your spine, or back pain, lower back pain, upper back pain, and just thinking about where you don't feel supported. And thinking about where you feel you're most overwhelmed. A lot of people slump, me included.
Yeah.
And think about kind of when was the first time you felt the pain? This is how I usually start with my patients.
Mhm.
When did the pain first begin?
Mhm.
And sit down and write that out. And think about what was happening in your life when that occurred.
Mhm.
For me, I'll quickly go into my migraines. I started having migraines when I was 14 years old. And at that time, my papa had had a heart attack. My father had a heart attack. I had a massive accident where I almost lost every member of my genetic family.
Wow.
I had to leave my school and go on homebound for like a month. My grandmother's, I mean, a lot of these things were occurring at the same time, and I just couldn't mentally compartmentalize. I
Mhm.
couldn't mentally get myself into a place where I could detach because it was constant. It was constant. And my younger sister was very ill at the time. So
Mhm.
going from my birth mother's hospital across town to my sister's hospital,
Mhm.
just trying to dismantle that. And then with my heart attack, like I said, I was very young and there was no medical background for why I had to I have a chart, so it helps me to also keep things in perspective. But the
Mhm.
heart represents the center of love and security, and heart attack is seizing all the joy out of your life in favor of money and position, feeling alone and scared. I'm not good enough. I don't do enough. I'll never make it.
Right.
And long-standing emotional problems, lack of joy. And
Mhm.
if anyone has ever known me for any length of time, I've often felt that I'm not good enough
Mhm.
and I'm not worthy of joy and passion and excitement and euphoria in my life.
Mhm.
and really looking at your pain. And a lot of headaches come from self-criticism and fear and invalidating yourself and shrinking. And from the smallest pain to the largest pain, there's an emotional component to it. If you wanted to put some of the things that you struggle with in the comments, I can go back and kind of give you like a really brief overview of kind of where that could be stemming from. And I do offer free sessions just because I think that it's important to kind of get a baseline of where you can start and then go from there. And those are some of the ones. A lot of people have migraines. A lot of people have chest pain, eczema. My daughter has eczema, and she's only 7.5, but I know that, I'm very high strung and her father is very laid back, and that yin and yang, that push and pull. And for mothers, think about where, your children pick up on your energy.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of our trauma comes from the ways that we were raised and the patterns that we pick up. And one example, and then I'll hand it back to you, is really thinking, and I certainly did not know this before I started doing this work. You as an egg were actually in your grandmother's womb. So a lot of the things that your grandmother struggled with genetically, DNA activating, is some of the, and talking about the things that are the emotions and the pain that's yours versus the emotion or pain that are other people's. The mother's wound has been very fluid and very overcast in my family. So a lot of the anxiety and the pressure, as I look back at my genealogy and look back at the family line and the history, has been there for quite some time, and the same struggles continue to fall. I'm sure everybody's heard that saying, well, it's in the family, we've been doing this for years, it's just the way I was brought up. And subconsciously, I'd always said, the buck stops with me. I'm not continuing this toxicity. I'm not continuing with this trauma. And you have to decide that it stops with you. You can't raise your children in the same muck that you grew up in unless you like it, which I can't see anybody liking it.
No.
Not being conscious of it, and some people aren't conscious of it. And even with my daughter, like, not feeling it was a really great event until my mom came to bless it. And then my birth mother, the same thing. And then her mother. And it's been this constant cycle. So also look at your family genetics. And if you don't know it, some people are adopted. I'm also adopted. I have a unique family tree. It's really, ancestry.com would be amazed. But it's, looking back at the history and the way things have kind of gone, and deciding that it stops with you and dismantling that so that you can really get to the root of it. And having that, like I said, with me, it was my heart attack, deciding that you're going to look at your heart chakra. And people who aren't really into the more woo way of handling your health, this is scientifically, it lines up with your spine, and you really can look at what chakra is blocked and what physical abnormalities you're facing. Your sacral chakra, your solar plexus. I had stomach problems my whole life, and digestion problems. You would be surprised how far back that goes with your trauma and unresolved emotions. A lot of children, what's the first thing a lot of parents say? Stop crying. What are you crying for? I'll give you something to cry for. They're suffocating that child's emotions, and then you grow up and you're like, and what drives me insane is men don't cry. I would much rather my man cry than hold it in and punch a wall.
Yes, completely agree. Vulnerability is sexy.
Very much so. The first time I saw my papa cry, I was more endeared to him in that moment than watching him chop down a tree, which to me seemed like a dangerous way to warm your house, but you do what you have to do. So that's a lot of what I do. And like I said, feel free to drop a few of your ailments in the comments and I'll come back around and check it out, because it's more than a job for me. It's passionate because healing the things that have tried to consume you, you really do physically feel lighter.
Yeah.
And you really can soar above the ashes that tried to consume you
Mhm.
because you feel lighter and you're finally dismantling that pain. And I kind of feel like I'm like this person going around chiseling people's trauma. Like,
Love
let's just
it.
break it away and
Mhm.
dismantle it and put the pieces back together. I'm not sure how many of you have ever seen a mosaic painting, but it's just made of
Yeah.
all these little pieces and it's so beautiful. So
Mhm.
people feel like, "Oh, I'm so broken." No, those cracks allow the light to come in and the light to come back out and
Yeah.
to rebuild.
Mhm.
It's kind of like we start at ground zero, but we can rebuild and we can rebuild so much better
Yeah.
and use our story to rise above it. Don't
Mhm.
don't, stuff it down. Embrace your story and
Yeah.
embrace the things that have occurred and
It's your
know that
superpower.
yes,
Makes
and
you
know
so
that everything
strong.
that it really, really does, and everything that tried to consume you, you have survived. Everything
Mhm.
that has tried to just completely discombobulate you thus far, you've made it through 100% of it.
Yes.
Give yourself credit for
Yes. Round of
making it.
applause for everyone who's
Yes,
alive.
you're still here for a reason.
Yes, I completely agree. And lots of people are sharing in the comments. If my thing will let me scroll back down to it. Sorry if I'm missing anyone's comments. My thing is acting weird. It's not usually like this. So Jane said, I got ran over at the age of 5 when I started to hear voices. Wow. Thank you for sharing. And then Betty said, I've always felt highly connected to my grandmother, and she died when I was a very young girl, age 5. And that's coming up like 3 times as a comment. These are very interesting today. Okay, and then Jane said,
Hmm.
I used to think I was shrinking a lot when I was a child. Yeah, pain in most of my body. And thank you so much for sharing. I also encourage everyone else to share.
Yay! Thank you
You
so much,
feel like
Jane, for
people in
sharing.
life would be beneficial for them to see this message. Yeah, and lots of people are sharing where they're feeling their pain, neck, traps, and shoulders and upper back. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I feel like earlier I had seen a comment come in from Betty about Codependent No More from Melody Beattie being an awesome book. So yes, if you're feeling like you're ready to move forward and like clear and release codependent stuff, that is a very awesome starting point. When I like read that book in 2015, it was like, wow, there's a lot of things I had to heal within like my own mother
Hmm.
relationship where I'm like, maybe it's not so great that we've been like best friends, twinsies in these ways over our life. It's been awesome and wonderful here, but it's like these things definitely needed to be like shifted and healed and released so that we could each improve our
Grow.
individual situations. Yeah, definitely. And Betty found the hand emoji. Yay! Awesome. So how can people find you after the show? Because I know we could talk on and on and on forever.
I have created a digital portal,
Beautiful.
and it's very modestly priced. I'll put the link in the comments,
Awesome.
and it is really where you can go into the portal and you can just do control find, and
Mm.
we talk about healing the mother wound,
Yeah.
healing the father wound. And a lot of people don't realize that father wound, a lot of it has to do with, seeking validation and
Mhm.
that savior complex and wanting
Yes.
to be saved and wanting to be, I guess just basically saved. And so I have a digital portal and it allows you to go in and it's e-courses, e-books, videos, mind maps, graphics. So
Mhm.
whatever way that you learn, whether it's through reading or video or audio,
Mhm.
it's in there. And it starts out with the Wealthy and Zen workbook. That's the kind of the
Awesome.
segue into the portal. And I really believe that people say that money can't solve all your problems. I don't know any problem that money can't solve because it allows you choices. It's
Right.
not about
Mhm.
having money in and of itself. It's the choices that money affords you. Healthcare,
Mhm.
healthy food, being able to give back, being able to seek out the help that you want and afford, the sessions that you and I, are able to afford people. And it
Mhm.
allows you to leave a situation that you might not otherwise be able to leave and give your kids the best, give yourself the best. And
Yeah.
having that level of zen, that really knowing yourself, being able to go into yourself, meditation, yoga, polarity therapy. And
Mhm.
meditation isn't always sitting on a pillow with your eyes closed. You can do
Right.
walking therapy, a walking
Mhm.
meditation, the 5 minutes at the stoplight, just to center
Mhm.
yourself right before you walk into the chaotic workplace.
Mhm.
So it's the ebook is how you segue into the portal, but the ebook is the
Awesome.
first thing, and then the portal is a bonus. And I've done really well with the portal, so it's really more at this point in my career about or my journey about getting it into the hands of many. So it's very modestly priced. I'll put the information in the comments. And then if you go and grab the portal, just send me an email or a text message or a PM. And if you saw it on this show, I will gift you a free soul goal session.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. And Jane is commenting, I've had lots of broken bones too from Ben Little. It's going down. Let's see if I can still see it on the screen. Cool. Okay. I've had lots of broken bones too from Ben Little, and I'm now a psychic medium and a healer too. Beautiful.
That's incredible.
I love that you have that. And then Betty says socioeconomic status is a huge problem that prevents women from leaving abuse situations.
Oh,
I
yes.
totally agree.
Oh, yes. It is. A lot of people have no idea where to go and how to afford to be able to live outside of that, especially if you depend on your mate for the majority of your income. And, raising a child, I just have one. I have an angel son, but I have one living child, and it's so much that you want to give them the best, and I like good food. Like, some people want nice clothes. I love clothes, but if you want to gift me, it's like, give me a card to Outback, because food is life, and you want to be able to afford healthy food. And Whole Foods is expensive, and you can get healthy foods anywhere. I just like Whole Foods because it smells really good with flowers. But being able to afford yourself.
When I went there, like, I'm in
And they have
Canada, but it was
Starbucks.
amazing. Oh my god, the buffet too, and
Oh
the
my gosh.
special cakes, the chocolate cake. Oh my god,
it's so good. So that's the reason. And the Wealthy and Zen ebook workbook, I wrote that, and I feel really good about it. And it has a lot of information that you can kind of pounce off of and then go into the portal. And the portal is massive. It's 21 years of work.
Beautiful.
But you can control fine and heal a lot of the things. And there's opportunities to work with me one-to-one. But I want people to be able to self-soothe and to find, in the brink of a moment, pull up, an audio meditation. One of the meditations that I've created is coming back to soul. And basically the premise of that is, coming back to yourself. And are you giving your power away? Are you giving, yourself to someone because you think that that's the only way you're going to be able to survive? And once you stop looking outside yourself for love, acceptance, and validation, you can really kind of see clearly, and that veil is taken off, and you realize that you were only in that situation or that relationship out of complacency and fear. But once you rise above that, it's only a matter of time before everything else just starts to slough off, and you can kind of feel that, the wings are, ready to fly. You've been in the cocoon long enough, your wings are ready.
Yes, beautiful butterflies all around. I love that. And thank you so much for your time today and for your beautiful gifts and shining your light in the world. I'm so appreciative of you and for everyone who joined live. Oh, Betty just said, #food is life.
Yes, it is. Some people eat to live. I live to eat.
Love it. And thank you guys so much. If you're joining the replay, definitely say #replay and feel free to share it out to other people. If you're thinking like one specific person might need it, you can also like share specifically to people's private messages. So you don't have to just like plaster it on your Facebook wall. If you feel that a friend might need it, you can definitely share it that way so that the people who need this beautiful message can get it into their lives. And I'm sending you guys all so much love and light and hope that you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.